And I think it's hard. It's hard for lads to, like, I was able to reach out to you, but I was never able to reach out to my father, right? And it was because I knew you went through something similar, and I was able to be comfortable, and even though I didn't want to say it and I felt ashamed saying it, but at least I was able to talk to you and say, look, man, between me and you, I'm not good, and this is what I'm actually doing. And I think you were the only person at the time that I was able to say, look, I'm doing these things and I'm not particularly proud of them. I think it's hard. It's hard for lads to find someone like that in their life to turn around and say, look, mate, I don't know if you've ever gone through this, but something's not right.
Welcome to the Modern Warrior podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by a man who reached out to me several years ago as he was struggling with his career and he found himself somewhat lost in his life. Through our work together, we helped him identify a new purpose. And ever since then, he has gone from strength to strength, becoming one of the most sought after fitness coaches out there. Stuart Coyne. On this episode, Stuart opens up about overcoming his difficulties in navigating this new path in his life. We spoke about pivotal moments that helped him transition into a healthier, more fulfilled individual. And we also discussed the power of discipline, self-awareness, and setting boundaries to achieve true transformation. This is a raw and real conversation about finding the warrior within. Let's dive in. Stuart Coyne, welcome to the Modern Warrior podcast. What an honor to have you here, finally.
What an honor to be here, honestly. I was kind of thinking to say how everything has just come full circle, really, and relatively speaking, a short period of time. Well, maybe not to everyone, but to me, I think what I've done and since working with you and obviously now is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
3-year circle.
3-year circle. Yeah. 3 years is not long. If someone told you like in 3 years you can completely change your life, you can leave the job you don't like, completely change your career and do something that you're very, very content and passionate about and make a healthy living of it, like anyone would take that. 3 years is nothing. Absolutely.
So bring us back to 4-5 years ago. What was your life like?
Yeah, I think if we go even 4 years ago or 5 years ago, so I finished up college. Obviously that's where I met you in Sligo. I did health science and physiology. Then I went up to Coleraine and did nutrition. And I had it all planned out. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to go down. It was more nutrition at the start, but once I came out of college, the realization of being 28, having no money, I'm like, I better get a job. So applied for a couple of graduate programs and got offered a really good gig. It was completely different to what I did in college. It was sales automation, working with cameras and stuff. But took it on. Very, very difficult career to start, but went through plenty of kind of ups and downs, and ended up just pushing through, just kind of not willing to leave a job because I didn't like it. Funny enough, actually, the previous guy I used to work with up in Sligo, I remember 6 months into that career, I was struggling. I was like, geez, I hate this job. This is, I should be doing nutrition or whatever. And he's like, you don't have the right to say you hate something just because you're not good at it. And that was like, oh, I better actually just get good at this job first and then decide whether I hate it or not. So I did. I got very good at it, got promotions, was going into managerial roles. And that was kind of the transition of when I reached out to you, because at the start I hated it because I was doing stuff that, on the weekends I was socializing way too heavy. I was not dealing with the pressure of the job, going out, drinking Friday, drinking Saturday. It wasn't just alcohol. There was other stuff involved as well. There was recreational drugs and stuff that I'm not really proud of, obviously, speaking about, and I haven't spoken much about it. But there was that transition there for, God, it was a solid, maybe a year where I was just going through this vicious cycle of working like really hard Monday to Friday or Monday to Thursday, and then justifying my actions on the weekends by just pissing it up against the wall or trying to numb the pain with some drugs or whatever. And really a lot of it just kind of came to full head when I was like, this is this is not good enough. Like, I think from the outside, people thought I was doing very well. I had the car, I had the suits, everything looked like it was going well. But I just knew inside, I was like, I can't keep doing this. This is not me. This is not who I am. Like, considering what I did in college, and even during college, I had my own fitness classes. I was always known as the fitness guy, but if you abuse your health for nearly a year, you're going to get out of shape. You're not going to look the way you want to look. And I just hit that point where I wasn't happy. I was looking in the mirror going, I don't want to be this. I'm only, I think I was 29 when I reached out to you, or 30 when I reached out to you. I just wasn't happy. I was like, this is not who I am. And instead of just saying I'm going to change everything, I just knew the first thing I needed to do was get back into shape. And I think I resonated with you because I knew you went through, well, like maybe different struggles, different modalities of addiction or whatever it may have been at your time, but you're a bit older than me. And I think knowing your story, I was like, okay, I think Gavin went through something similar, so I'm just going to get him to help me. And then, we got on the phone, and first things first was like, get into shape, like get yourself together. And I always say this to people, like getting into shape is not just about the end result. It's not about the lean physique at the end of it. It's about the process you have to go through to get there, and the things you have to put in place in order to get those results. And then once you hold on to that, that's what you're eventually looking for at the end of the day, that transformation, if you want to call it. But yeah, going through that with yourself, then it was just kind of like, right, you can do this. What's next, really? What do we do now? And I think you were the first person who was like, why aren't you doing online coaching? And I was like, I'm 30 and I have this career, it's going well. I was making good money. I had the fancy car. I suppose there was a bit of fear, you know what I mean? Of, I don't want to leave this secure career to pursue something I'm passionate about. I don't think you were kind of like nagging me around, but you were kind of like, it's a shame, go for it, like see what happens. At the same time, there was a lot of content creators coming up at the time, like say Sean Casey and that. And I was kind of looking at him going, geez, if this lad can do it, like, you know what I mean? He went from 0 to 100. I'm like, why can't I? And as I was just saying before we started, it was around this time last year or 3 years ago where you were like, just go out and start making content. And I hated social media, absolutely hated it. I still do for many reasons. Okay, I'm trying to have my own positive spin on it, but I remember just going out, grabbing the camera and just making content. And then that was that. Fast forward 3 years and I've left that career and, really decent business. I don't want to get into the money side of it. Like, I think too many people brag about that shit, but I'm living a very, very comfortable life right now. I've hired coaches and have a team around me, and it's just crazy to kind of go from one transition to the next so quickly. And 3 years, as I mentioned, it's not a long time. But
yeah.
I
remember that conversation. I remember the moment where I said, what the fuck, Stuart? What the fuck? You reached out, as you mentioned at the beginning, you wanted to get into shape, and we were having these check-in calls every so often. And then you started to tell me about the pressures at work, about the struggles then at the weekends, or how the struggles at work manifested into the behaviors at the weekend with drink and drugs. And I knew you from before, and I said this to you on the call, or I've said this to you before. When I was a personal trainer in Sligo in the gym in the college there, starting my own business, you were always in the gym. You were always in great shape, and you came across as this very disciplined, very committed individual. You were either studying or you were working out. And then you're coming to me a few years later and telling me that you've got a good job on the surface, but you're out every weekend drinking, taking cocaine. I'm like, Stuart, hang on a second, man. This is not you. This is not the Stuart that I know, who has lived this very disciplined, committed life from a place of love, not fear, from a place of self-respect, not self-sabotage. And beginning to identify then, okay, you've gone down the wrong path here, and you've kind of lost your identity. Would you have identified it as a loss of identity?
Oh, 100%. I think I still, held on to the training quite a bit, but, I kind of used the job as an excuse really for just getting sucked in. And look, there was, I wouldn't say the wrong crowd, but there was a couple of people that I could have done with just not being around, you know. There's probably people at that time who could have done not being around me because I didn't like myself either. But yeah, I just think the whole pressure of kind of getting to where everyone wants you to go to, like, all right, you have the job now, this is it, it's brilliant. And I was kind of like, this can't be it, because I don't feel good, I don't enjoy this, like, you know what I mean? And I was just handling it really wrong. Like, I was handling the pressure of the job as there was, like, the job started off really well, then it went really crap. And I think my escape was, right, I'm not doing well and everything has gone so well for me in life. Now it's going to shit and I can't handle this and I don't know how to handle this. And I think it's hard. It's hard for lads to, like, I was able to reach out to you, but I was never able to reach out to my father, right? And it was because I knew you went through something similar, and I was able to be comfortable, even though I didn't want to say it and I felt ashamed saying it, but at least I was able to talk to you and say, look, man, between me and you, I'm not good, and this is what I'm actually doing. And I think you were the only person at the time that I was able to say, look, I'm doing these things and I'm not particularly proud of them. And I think it's hard. It's hard for lads to find someone like that in their life to turn around and say, look, mate, I don't know if you've ever gone through this, but something's not right, because I should be happy. I have everything I need, but I'm not. And I think a lot of that was just lost in having no purpose, having no identity, and just following this path that I knew I didn't want to do.
The safe road. The
safe road, yeah. The safe road.
Men don't need safety, man.
I think like, well, one thing I've learned is, like, you know, if you don't take those risks, you don't go and you don't try and challenge yourself, I think that's where the true purpose is. There's a lot of excitement in that. You know, it might not work out, but you'll get something out of it. Mm-hmm. You'll get something out of it. And I do feel like, because I've done a lot over the last 3 years, building a business, bodybuilding, whatever it may be, you have to challenge yourself. I feel like as men, you need some purpose, and it might not be, you know, Elon Musk building a fucking space rocket business. It might be just you just doing a 12-week transformation. That's your purpose. Now you know why you're getting up in the morning. Now you know why you're doing something. It doesn't have to mean anything to anyone else, just you. And I think a lot of lads are missing that. And that's all I was missing at that time. And I think once we ticked that box, things started to change. I started to drink less, started to obviously stop participating in drugs. I also reached out to a counselor at the time who really helped me understand, you know, because making that decision, leaving the career, is not an easy thing, but she was able to kind of go, right, well, let's put some rationale around this, like, and then realizing that, okay, it's never too late. Like, I'll never forget getting very close. I actually switched jobs for a small period of time.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I remember telling you, like, you know, I think I'm going to do this because it will free up time to focus more on content and stuff. I remember you just saying, you're only fucking 30, man. Or was it 31? Whatever. It's like, you've loads of time. But like, when you're that age, you think, oh God, I should have a family. You know what I mean? I should have a house. I should have this. Maybe the societal norms are kicking in a little bit. But on the flip side to that, knowing I had no kids, I had no real responsibilities in life, it was a no-brainer for me to take the risk. It was a no-brainer to say, right, I'm going to sidestep here, career a little bit. That's what I did. Cleaned up my act, and I kind of kept rolling with that. Now, it wasn't perfect. I had lots of up and downs, which we'll get into along the way. But, you know, making that decision to switch careers, which gave me more time to focus on other things, it just snowballed. The content got better, the audience built. Eventually, you know, I was in a position where I could leave my job, move out to Abu Dhabi with my partner, and go from there.
I remember that transition, going from whatever you were doing, 60, 70 hours of crazy
it's corporate
work
job
every week. And then you had an opportunity then to step into a new role, which then brought your hours right down to maybe 40 a week. And I said, oh, whoa, look, you've got 20 extra hours here a week. Yeah. Let's channel that time and energy into creating content now. But at the same time, and people need to understand this, like, it wasn't as though you just flicked the switch or clicked your fingers and I was like, oh yeah, I've got 20 hours, I'm gonna start creating content. Oh, all of a sudden I'm a fitness guru. I'm a body transformation coach. I'm popular. I'm gaining clients. I've got a new job. It's like, no. You had a lot of doubts and hesitations and barriers along the way. And like, I remember on one of our conversations, you reached out and you're like, man, I'm putting all this content out there and getting like 100 fucking views. And it's like, Stuart, how many clients do you need? Do you need 100 clients? Probably just need maybe 5. I said, you need 1 client. You don't need 100 clients.
Yeah.
You need 1 client. And you've got 100 people watching that. Imagine 100 people in a room, So your perspective is warped by what you see there through your Sean Cases or through your, these guys with whatever, hundreds of thousands of views or millions or whatever it is, which a lot of it is bullshit, but we're not going to go down that path because a lot of that can be bought. It's not real. Probably important to acknowledge that too. But anyway, there are signs. But you stuck to your guns and you kept it going.
Yeah, and I think it's probably the biggest lesson that I've learned over the last. Well, I've learned this lesson all my life. Like, I mean, going back to college, I went back to college in my 20s. Like, and I was very disciplined because I had nothing. I come from a family that doesn't have, I've nothing to fall back on. Suffered a lot with dyslexia going up through school, so like I had to kind of grit my teeth and push hard and get to where I want to. But I just carried that with me whenever I took on a task. I was just relentless with it. Like when it was content, I just didn't really worry too much about the coaching aspect. I was making money to the side. I had a little bit of savings. I wasn't stupid with my money. But I was just relentless at getting content. And I remember like making it and not worry. I mean, after that kind of point of forgetting about the views, it was more like, well, how can I make this better? Because clearly it's not good enough. Instead of just crying about it because you didn't care.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that you didn't care.
I did care. I just wanted you to care less about the unimportant factors. And care more about the important aspects of it. Yeah.
But I think when you do kind of step out with that a little bit and get we've all done this as content creators, getting obsessed with views and likes. I have a couple of coaches now who are looking to do the same thing as me, and I'm trying to tell them like, you just need to voice your opinion because now we live in a world where people see through the bullshit. People don't want to hear it. There's too much empathy in content. It's not your fault, blah, 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 all this bullshit. It is your fault. Like a lot of it is, right? And I think people just need to acknowledge that. And if you can say that, it's kind of divides, 1 or 2 people. Some people are really going to resonate it. Some people are not. That's fine. You're not going to buy from me. You're not, my service is not going to be of value to you. I think once I realized that, then I just got relentless. Like, how can I get my opinion across? How can I make the content good? And speaking of Sean Casey, I actually got him to help me. Like I worked with him for a period and he showed me how to make decent content. You just got to figure out how to put it into your own tone of voice. But yeah, if you do want to do something, you have to be relentless in your pursuit. And like that, as we mentioned, having a purpose. That was just my purpose at the time. I was so obsessive. There's videos of me. The job wasn't crazy busy. I was doing medical sales and I was in and out of theatres and stuff. But I remember one day, like, driving all the way down to Cork from Dublin. It's a 2.5 hour drive in theatre for like 9 hours and then had to drive all the way back. And then because I was so obsessive with getting a piece of content up every day, I remember it was like 9:30 at night and I was sitting there with my eyes half closed and the shirt on and just like 3 reasons to lose body fat. None of it made sense, but I was just so obsessive with, I have to do this. I remember my girlfriend like, please come to bed, please spend time with me. I was like, no, I promised I'd do this. I'm going to make this. Like I fucking did, but you have to be relentless, but also as well, that meant something to me at the time. That was my purpose. That's what I wanted to focus on. And when you have that, there's no better feeling because you know why you're doing something. Instead of coming home, wasting your time watching Netflix and shit. And not to say there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But doing it every evening for 2 or 3 hours when you could be doing something that you actually want to work on, your side hustle, whatever you want to call it, that's where you get where you really want to go.
Yeah. If there's too much pleasure and not enough purpose.
100%.
Such as the Netflix and the chilling and all that. Yeah, do that. But how much time and energy have you dedicated towards your purpose in life? Purpose? Well, what's my purpose? Well, it's a good place to start. Start asking those questions. And I remember during that period in the earlier days when you were still working with the pharmaceutical company and you were just stuck in this miserable path. You did work with one lady on a Saturday morning, I remember, and you were helping her with some
Yes.
nutritional advice, and you said it to me, and I still remembered. That's the best hour of my whole week. And I
Yeah.
said, well, Stuart,
Mm.
that's where you need to go.
Yeah.
And you remember that?
That was like the biggest realization for me, because that lady, such a mad story. She found one of my old Facebook pages that I had going in Sligo. Because I tried to start an online business at the end of my nutrition degree with another guy.
I
that we
remember
both worked
you
in
reached out to
Sligo.
me at that point as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knew you.
If we go back a bit further, yeah, you did. You reached out to me about some advice or some guidance. You were starting up this business with your business partner, or whoever it was, and then I don't think I heard back from you for a few years.
We went hard at it for a while. He was more so going at it than I was. I was trying to finish off my university degree or whatever, and we recorded some content, recorded some videos, we were putting a website together, we were doing all the stuff that you think you're meant to do, which you don't need to do all that at the start. But listen, it just came to the stage where we both sat down. I had no money. I was like, mate, you just need to eat a job, whatever. He went actually and started doing PT himself. He was very successful for a couple of years. I don't know if he still does it, but and then I decided to go and do that career. But I suppose it's important to people to know that there was failures along the way, you know, and it wasn't my first rodeo. Like, I ran my own fitness classes during Sligo. They did really, really well, and I was always doing something to the side, or I was always trying to experiment. But that online business, the first one, just failed miserably. I wasn't ready, wasn't mentally there, didn't have the funds, whatever it may be. But yeah.
Did that failure sting to the point where you decided to avoid it?
It definitely stung, because it was what I really wanted to do. Like, I'll never forget, like, the year. So when I did health science and physiology, I did my add-on year in Coleraine, and that whole summer I worked with my dad. My dad's a construction worker, and I remember that whole summer we would drive to Dublin. It was an hour every morning. I was just reading nutrition books, because I knew I was studying nutrition. I was so obsessed with it. Driving home, reading it, even falling asleep, and the lads laughing at me in the van. Look at this lad, you know, 'cause different generation, whatever it may be. And all I ever want is, like, how am I going to do nutrition? You know what I mean? Help people. This is what I really, really want to do. So then when I came out of college and I didn't get to do that, it was not nice. It was like, I was going to curse there.
You can curse in this podcast. Cursing is allowed in this podcast.
Yeah, I think it was one of the biggest things that when we started off together was like, I'm not doing what I should be doing. Like, this is not what I'm meant to be doing. And I don't want to, I'll never forget, I remember looking at you going, I do not want to hit 40 and say, what the fuck was the last 10 years about? Why the hell did I do that career? Because I saw people in that career, very intelligent people, stayed there for all the wrong reasons, the money or whatever. And you're just like, I can't do that. I can't fucking do that. Like,
what did you identify in them that you didn't want to?
I just didn't want to look back and regret. I didn't want. I
Did
knew.
you see regret in them?
Potentially, yeah. Regret as in maybe how much time they gave to an individual company. Like, the company that I refer to are a great company, and I'll be honest with you, because of how hard we worked in that company, my business did very well in such a short period of time, because I had the skills of sales and whatever, all those stuff that coaches struggle with. But like, a lot of these people, I look at them going, you could run a 6-figure business in a year, no problem, by yourself, if you just learn how to make a bit of content and sell something, and give up half the time that you're currently putting in. You know, I have a mate, very good friend, who stayed on. Me and him were always kind of against each other for promotions. He's as high as he can go with it, but he's traveling all the time. He's in England twice a month, maybe 3 times a month, has a family. You know what I mean?
And you hit a ceiling, and then that's
it. His next, I remember speaking to him Sunday, he's like, his next route is if he wants to be in England for a couple of weeks, because he has to manage a new office. Who the fuck wants to do that? He's based here in Ireland. And then, you know, you just kind of, and I know this guy, and I'm like, Jesus, man, like, if you were doing what I would do, you'd probably make more money than I, because I know he's better than me in many ways, you know? And I just didn't want to look back when I was 40 thinking like, good God, I can't believe I didn't give it a go, at least to figure out what would have happened. Like, and thank fucking God I did. Like, you know what I mean? Because I learned a lot about myself. And like, I think it's important that people understand as well, like, a lot of this might sound like, a bit of a fairy tale. like I fucked up so many times. You know, I didn't just work with you, get in shape, and then give up drinking and the drugs. There were still moments throughout that whole period where I fucked up.
What's one of those fuck ups that you would identify as a defining moment?
The defining moment was the first year in business. So we'd moved to Abu Dhabi. I had a couple of clients, enough who was making a little bit of cash to the side, and I had some savings going out there, and I decided it would be a good idea to release a recipe book. It was the worst fucking idea ever. When you have an audience that's quite in its infancy and they're not ready to buy just yet, they just like your recipe videos or whatever. And I poured a lot of money into it, and it sunk. I mean, it sunk, and I'll never forget, I must have done like 80, 90-hour weeks to get that recipe book out. We had like, where we live, you have this kind of like little room, and it has no windows because you're out in the desert now. It's just the only one. It's like a little spare room or whatever, and I turned into an office. I didn't know what time of the day it was. I had kidney infections from drinking cans of C4 because I was awake all the time, and I was like, fucking hell, I was like razor blade piss. You know what I mean? And obviously I was eating shit. And everything went out the window. All my habits, everything went out the window. And maybe a lot of people don't know this, but sometimes you feel like you're busy, but you're not actually fucking busy. You're just really inefficient with your time. And I was going through that period where I felt like I was working 12-hour days. I was doing a lot.
Fear-based approach again.
Yeah, exactly. And you can
because you took a massive risk in leaving your job, moving to Abu Dhabi. And then you're into the unknown of, okay, what the fuck do I do now? Because the goal was that by the time you get to Abu Dhabi, you have a fully fledged fitness business. But that wasn't the case, or
no? I was earning about $2,000 roughly a month, right? Nothing crazy. It was fluctuating between $1,500 and $2,000, which is not a lot of money, right? But it was enough to kind of go, right, I can take a chance now. But I put a lot of money into that recipe book, more than I should have, and I completely flunked. Like, I'll never forget. I remember spending all that time, and my girlfriend in the background when I released it had a surprise party, and I came in. You know, we were all going out that night for celebrations and drink. I went into the apartment. Everyone was like, surprise, blah, blah, blah.
Was your birthday? Or
no, it was just a celebration of releasing the recipe book.
Oh, celebration of releasing the, okay.
And I was kind of had to play this fucking, yeah, everything's going well. And I knew by looking at my Stripe account.
So you also have the expectations of everyone else.
Everyone
like,
thought,
this is going to be a huge success. Yeah. And you're walking in going, fucked it.
Yeah, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be,
yeah, of course.
But I remember just going out that night and just not being, not happy, drinking too much. I think it was actually that night I came home a bit early, but my partner came back from the night out and I was asleep on the couch with a fucking bottle of vodka, like just falling back into those old habits again, and that kind of fucked me up for about 2 or 3 days until I realized you can't, Stuart, stop it, like, you know what I mean? And I actually started working with another business mentor at the time. I'm not going to mention because I also sunk a bit of money into that and it went to shit. Their methods were just not applicable. I needed something quick. And I know a lot of people are looking for quick by the big audience. I just needed to learn how to monetize it really quick to get a handful of clients in to put me in a safe position. And they were kind of like, oh, do this. I was like, fuck this. I don't believe in this. Like this, there's other ways of doing this. There has to be. And I gave them a couple of grand. I was just looking at the account. The account was going down. I just got to the point where I was getting a few clients and I was like getting a little bit of traction. And then I saw another business mentor, once again, I'm not going to mention, but although his methods weren't 100%, it did what I needed to do, okay? And it got me to the point where I remember just grinding out all of October, all of November. Like I'm talking staying up all night because of the time difference. 4 hours ahead, I'd be chatting to people in Ireland, the UK, my DMs, like they'd be like, just trying to have general conversations with them about what I do, to get them onto a call, to get, you need to do what you need to do, right? And I did it, and I fucking did it. And I mean, I grinded once again. So not only did it, because it was September I released the book, so I had basically no sleep in September, grinded it out for October and November. And I'll never forget, it got to the point at the end of November where I managed to accumulate a bit of money, like enough money to go, right, I can relax, not relax, but I can step back a little bit.
Yeah.
And we hadn't planned to go back home that Christmas because girlfriend, she's not earning a lot of money as a teacher, she's earning a bit, but we only moved over. But I had earned enough to be like, I can surprise her with a trip back home. We can go home. We can enjoy being back home. It's very important. We're my girlfriend she's from Gweedore, so she's Irish as Irish gets. Everyone speaks Irish. She loves being at home, loves being around the family. So it was great for us to go home, even though we were gone away for 4 months. We love being home for Christmas. There's no place like home. And that was a moment where I went home, and it was the biggest realization. I was like, right, there's something here. I can do something with this online space I have. I definitely have a bit of a grip in the content, but I have a lot of work to do. And I had a little bit of money, enough to get through the next couple of months. So I actually decided that Christmas, I'll never forget, I was drinking with my mates and we're all chatting shy as usual. And I was like, I'm going to do bodybuilding. I'm going to get absolutely shredded, prove everyone wrong. Because at the time, not to prove everyone wrong, to make a statement, and still right now, there's a lot of online coaches who just don't walk the walk. And it baffles me. And then they spread their own philosophy. You don't need to chase aesthetics. I'm like, well, what if you want to fucking chase aesthetics? Like,
they're more trying to justify their own behaviors.
I would say there's a lot of that, and I'm look, everyone to themselves. Okay, some people have a very good point about what way they're going about doing things, but I think one thing a lot of these people will spread is, oh, they did a transformation and it fucked them up. I'm like, fucks everyone up, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. It's like anything in life. So I really wanted to kind of separate myself from the crowd a little bit and be like, yeah, I can make decent content, I can make recipes, but I'm going to get shredded. Like, I knew I had the potential of like having a good physique from what I've did in the past. I just needed to get the body fat off. And I remember my mates were looking at me kind of like, I said, yeah, right. And I'll never forget, the next day I woke up, I knew a coach, messaged him. I was like, here's a deposit. We don't even need to have a call. We'll have a call when you're ready. Let's go. Just absolutely ready to go. And January started. We started prep. And it took 8 months to lose. Well, it was about 22 weeks of non-stop dieting to lose 18 kilos and step on stage. And I can tell you one thing, I went to hell and back during that fucking prep. I mean, hell and back. Like, crazy shit. Do you know what I mean? An hour and a half cardio in the morning, weights in the evening, fatigue so bad that it feels like there's cement running through your legs. Like, severe stuff. But yeah. You had to
do it though, did you?
I had to do it. I had to do it because, as you asked me, like, what was the defining moment? That was the hardest thing I ever did, and I decided to make that decision, and I stuck to it. I was like, I'm doing this, and not only that, I announced it to everyone in my Instagram. I remember telling everyone in March, I'm doing this. So there was no going back. I had 120,000 followers at the time.
You burned the boats.
I went hard at it. But I learned more about myself during that whole journey. Once again, we talk about purpose. Like, the biggest reason for me doing that, and I didn't just pick bodybuilding because, the look and stuff. Yes, that was part of it. I wanted something that meant that if I wanted to achieve it, all I could do was focus on that and work. And I know that's selfish, and I neglected my relationship. I did things that I'm not proud of, working way too much. My partner was away traveling during her Easter holidays. She went off during the summer. I was just doing work, and I was just doing bodybuilding prep. But for that whole year, I just had one purpose, and that purpose to step on stage. And in order to achieve that, I had to get up at a certain time every morning. I had to eat a certain diet. And if I wanted to go and train in the evening, I had to get all my fucking work done during the day. And I just repeated. And then my business was in a completely different position come September. And I achieved my goal, and I did what I needed to do. Was it hard? Absolutely. It was fucking, there was times I couldn't wait to finish it, but I fucking did it,
What's the greatest lesson from that?
I think
you learned about yourself.
I think for me anyways, I think having a challenge, like something that takes more than fucking a few weeks, I'm talking months to achieve, that will put you in the position, like if you truly want to do something, and many people might disagree, but I feel like if you want to be successful in something, you have to give it 100%. You kind of have to go to that one side. There is no balance with it. Balance is when you fucking get to the other side of it, right? And you are able to, and like what we're doing now, we're having a podcast today. But it takes time to get that. I think you have to go hard first. You have to do what it takes. You don't have to do what I did, but if you want to do something you want to achieve, and you say you want to become that person that you want to become, you have to go through the thick of it and absolutely bury yourself. Because then, you'll find out a lot about yourself. Are you actually able to do this? one thing I always ask clients that are coming on board with me is, why do you want to do this? Everyone wants to lose weight, but I want to know why you want to do this, because this is going to get hard. And it doesn't matter what I tell you, your reason needs to be there, strong enough to get you through this part. Because that's it at the end of the day. And if you're able to get through that, then you will experience a true transformation at the end of it. And you'll learn a lot about yourself. You'll learn what you're more than capable of. And I know I'm rambling on a bit, but when you go through something like that, you realize, what else can I do? Like, what else can I achieve, you know? And then it's just, once you break through that barrier where you've done something very, very hard, very difficult, and you got what you want out of it, everything else seems like a fucking piece of piss. Everything. Yeah. The things you used to tell yourself, I could never have a 6-figure business. No, you can. I could never get down to 6% body fat. No, you can. Everything else is easy after that, because you've done probably the hardest thing you could possibly do.
Yeah. That the digging of the foundation is often the hardest part, but that's the first thing you do when you're, as you said, you're putting the work in. It's sleepless nights, it's grind, it's hustle, it's hardship. And I'm reminded by my grandfather, different generation, hard man, and he dug the foundation for his home with a fucking shovel and a pickaxe. And this is a 2-story house, so that foundation had to be as deep as the house was high. But again, that's the hard, that's the grind, that's the hustle, that's the difficult part. Once the foundation is set, laying the bricks can be a little bit easier, and that's 100%. When you start to build. But that foundation then it's strong as well, and that foundation now has also allowed you to continue to build on your business, on your life, on your relationship, on your body. And also something else in all of this that we haven't mentioned so far, you've sort of touched on it a little bit, but the people you surround yourself with are so fucking important to the growth, or the lack of growth potentially. And I've told your story to a room full of people several times because it's very inspiring, and there's a lot of lessons in what you've done that other men can bring on and use in their own journeys. But one thing that I always bring up is how you managed to set boundaries with the people in your life when you were starting on this new path. And you were on this path of, yes, the job, but then it was the friends you were associating yourself with at the weekends, and you were kind of sucked into that environment, and you obviously would absorb their energy, take on their behaviors, pursuing similar actions, drinking drugs. And I remember you telling me, and I think this was probably one of the most important things you've brought up in our time together, is that you had a very good friend, and you had communicated to him that you were heading down this new path now. You're going the straight and narrow, you're working on improving yourself, and you can't have drink or drugs as part of that journey anymore. At least, certainly not the drugs, and a lot more moderate on the alcohol intake. And you told him, and I'm sure you remember this, you told him, if you offer me drugs again, if you offer me, if you bring this if we bring this up again, we're done. We're finished.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he understood it and he respected it. But I think a couple of weeks later, he brought it up, and you set the boundary for him. You said, "Look, I'm out. We're done." And can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I suppose I think people need to understand there was a lot of moments before it got to that point. You know what I mean? There was moments where I was going out and I was still trying. Everyone does it. You're still trying to hold on to that friendship a little bit, and they're doing things that you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. You know. And there was a couple of comments, typical Irish. Why are you being dry? Why are you doing this? I'm like, fuck off, mate. You know what I mean? Like, leave it at. And it got to a couple of moments where I said, look, man, this is it. Like, this is the last time now we have this conversation. I don't want to hear this anymore. And I think, he was going through a lot of shit himself, because this kind of came full circle, believe it or not. And he was going through a lot of shit himself. He was struggling with alcohol behind it all and whatever it may be. But we had to separate. We had to kind of leave it at. And I did have to tell him, like, mate, we're done now because I told you, like, this is it. I'm really fucking trying it. I'm paying for coaching with you. I'm paying for a counselor. I'm doing all these things, and I don't want this shit anymore. And yes, I need to take responsibility of my actions, but being around it doesn't help, you know? And we didn't talk for a very long time, years. But as I said, things come full circle. That guy now is sober. He's look after himself. He's running. You know what I mean? He's back into his health and fitness. And he was a fantastic athlete when we first met. That's how we met. We both worked in the gym. The guy is fucking growing plants out in his backyard. Do you know what I mean? And growing vegetables. And he's always been an incredible person. You know what I mean? But now, do I think, me kind of setting that boundary in him, I think he eventually came to that realization where a lot of people actually stopped talking to him, because a lot of people kind of got fed up with it a little bit. You know what I mean? We all kind of grow up. Some people grow out of it, some people don't. But I think when you are in that situation, you really do want to make a change. As much as it fucking hurts, you kind of have to say, look, it doesn't have to be a forever thing. Hopefully they come full circle like my mate did. But you need to separate yourself from it. Do you know, you really, really do. This is why the whole bullshit right now with everything in moderation, it's like, sometimes you just need to fucking disassociate yourself with that. You know, when you're trying to do something, and especially when you're trying to do something like online or build a business, and you're hanging around with people who still do the same shit that you don't want to do anymore, because you can't, if you're trying to do all those things, you can't be drinking all the time, getting fucked up. They're not going to understand what you're trying to achieve. And no matter how much you explain it to them, they're not going to get it. And if they keep trying to drag in their shit with you, you have to just say, look, arms are reach, mate, leave it out. I'll see you on the other side in a year or two. If they come, they come. If they don't,
you let it go. Yeah.
You let it go. I think everyone hits a point. Like I hit a point when I reached out to you where I was like, fuck. Like everyone should hit that point. You hope, especially guys, you know, to have someone to look up to, someone that can reach out and say, I'm not fucking feeling good, you know what I mean? I'm not going down the right path. And sometimes, even though it might seem cruel or it might seem a bit selfish that you're trying to tell that person, I'm not hanging around with you anymore. You've too much shit that I don't want to deal with. Sometimes that's just what people need. People need to realize that, fuck, everyone's not talking to me now.
Because you continuing to
exactly
show up enables their behavior. You continuing to share those type of experiences with them enables the behavior. Because I think and I have mentioned that he actually did turn around to you at some point again and said, you know what, man, I decided to sort myself out. And yes, I believe part of it was you setting the boundary. This was a good friend of yours, a very good friend of yours, as I remember. But then also, he's watching you and you're going down this path, and he sees the improvements you're making. He sees you turning into this much more powerful, happier, stronger individual. He goes, fuck, yeah, I want some of that. So there's inspiration there as well, which again, it's a big reason why I share your story. You know, there's that.
Leading by example as well. Like, you know, you're showing people like, I'm going to do these things. You're leading by example. You're saying exactly what it is that you want to go and do, and you're going and you're following those rules. It's a bit uncomfortable for people at the start. They're kind of like, what the fuck? Like, well, are you serious? Like, you're not going out drinking every weekend. I'm like, no, like, I'm going to go for a run instead. But when you keep doing it, people start realizing, all right, maybe this guy's onto something, you know, because the proof is there. You know what I mean? I've gone from the depths of it to, I wouldn't say the depths of it, but like it could have went pretty fucking sour. You know what I mean? It really could have. I think I knew that. And it took a lot of work. But once you put in that work and you climb out the other end of it, people start to see, oh, okay, fair enough.
Did you reach the bottom of the pit, do you think? Because it's something I often bring up in these conversations is for men, and at least it's been true in my situation, I had to go into several fucking dark pits to make changes, but that men only make a change when they reach the bottom. But it seemed as though maybe you avoided the complete bottom, or was that your version of the bottom?
I think I was self-aware enough. Like, because look, as you mentioned, I went back to college when I was 22, and I was very ambitious, very driven, still am to this day. And I had to work pretty fucking hard to just even get through college. I had to self-fund myself. So when I saw it wasn't going the way I wanted to go, and this is, right, obviously reaching out for you, I knew I was like, I need help here. I need someone to kind of put me in the straight and narrow. I think I've always said, like, you helped me become the boy transition into the man in many ways. Like, Stuart, pull up your fucking socks, get back on track. This is what we need to do. But I was very much aware that it could go south. One of the best things I did was I actually started seeing a counselor. She was one of the most phenomenal people I ever met, but she did a lot of therapy with me where she actually made me visualize how bad it could get, to the point where I was in tears in therapy. I mean, visualizing me being full on addict, no house, no family, no nothing. And that really fucking scared the shit out of me. Even though I didn't get to the bottom, I think that visualization and that understanding of Jordan Peterson always talks about this. If you can write down what is the worst case scenario, and I'm talking getting deep with it, like I said, I was in tears during those sessions. That scared the shit out of me, to the point where I remember being at a festival not long after that, and someone offered me some drugs. I was like, get that fucking away from me. I never want to see that again. You know what I mean? Just association I had with it. So yeah, I do think a lot of men need to go to that stage, but you can also reach out and speak to someone, and they can make you realize this can get fucking pretty bad for you. And I don't know why we're pampering everyone these days with online content. Like, that's not that bad. I think people need to realize, like, things can go fucking south pretty quick if you don't pull your socks up and move forward with it.
You felt the bottom of the pit, even though you didn't actually physically get there. You felt it.
100%. And I'm nearly fucking tearing up, because I remember the things she said to me and the things I had realized, you know what I mean? Like, one thing was she was like, you are an addict, you know that? And I had to come to terms with that. That was fucking hard to say shit like that, you know? People identify an addict as someone who takes drugs all the time. That's not an addict. You know, I definitely have a very addictive personality. Like, when I latch onto something, I just can't stop. I'm relentless with it. I might not have been taking shit every day, but my God, when it was time to take it, I was taking it, you know, or drinking. I just couldn't stop. And that is the very definition of an addict. You've no control once you start. And when you realize someone's telling you that you're an addict, like, and you have to come to terms with that, that's fucking hard. That's deep. Like, it was for me anyways. And then realize the consequences of living that life, and what that route that can go down to. That's scary. Very, very scary.
Did you transfer the addiction into your work then, into your business?
I most definitely did. And most definitely did.
You would have, and I think I've done this, not I think I've done this, I've fucking definitely done this, where you can justify and say, well, yeah, I'm channeling this into something healthy. You know, I'm building a business, I'm doing this. It's like, yeah, but you're fucking lost, man. Like, this again is coming from a place of pain, lack, fear, and avoidance. So have you got to that realization where, oh, hang on a second, oh, this is just manifested itself in a different area of my life now, and that's not healthy either? Yeah, the first prep I did was, I was like, all right, Stuart. Between doing prep and the business and stuff, and a lot of it was like the friction that I was causing with my relationship. At the time, I was like, I'm working, trying to build a future for us. But like, you can build a pretty profitable business without doing stupid amounts of hours and wasting time and stuff. So I definitely came to that realization after my first prep. And, you know, I think like a lot of relationships, when you spend time with the person you love, you realize, oh, fuck, we actually love each other. I have been ignoring you because I've been working so hard, you know, and you think the relationship is losing its way. It's not. You just need to spend fucking time together. So we had done that. We went skiing the end of 2023. And I remember that was after my first prep, and I was really struggling to rebound of the diet and stuff, lack of experience, whatever it may be. But we were skiing, and I was really struggling. I was still eating fucking protein yogurts, the Alps. Stupid shit, like. And I remember my girlfriend sitting down, like, just stop, leave it. And that's what I did. I just didn't track a calorie, did nothing. I took a break from work. I stepped back and just kind of looked from the outside. I'm like, all right, okay. I think she was right. I think, you know, and I was definitely challenging a lot of what thought I was doing was healthy, was not healthy. You know what I mean? I definitely had addiction problems with just work itself. And people might say, well, it's a healthy addiction. Not when it's affecting people you love and a relationship that you're building. You know what I mean? So yeah, I came to that realization at the end of 2023, and then I ended up working with another business mentor. So I worked with Dan Meek for a long time.
from Bicep and Banthers. And he really taught me kind of like, yeah, you have to work hard, but you don't have to be, you know, frugal with your time. You can be a lot better with your time. And he helped me learn how to structure out my day and stuff, and take time off on the weekends, and maybe make content that was a little bit more personal to me that I enjoyed making. And then that slowly but surely pulled away from the addiction side of it. I kind of turned it into more of a job. Like I show up, I do these hours, I do them really, really well. If I have to, you know yourself, there's periods where you have to do more than the usual. But yeah, I just learned how to kind of pull away from it a little bit. And I would say my addiction personality traits now is more so into training.
Oh dear.
But I do think I have a good control over it.
Yeah.
In the sense that I think what I've learned is like I need a challenge. I need something to work on outside of work. Work's very important to me. I have that locked down. I know what I'm doing. I set out my calendar every 6 months, whatever it may be. But if I don't have something to escape work as well, because me and you are lucky, we get to do what we love, what we're passionate about, but it's still a fucking job. You still have to put in the hours. Not every day we wake up, we're excited about it. And I need something to pull away from that. And my escape is pushing myself, is doing a challenge. Like this year, I've done half marathon, high rocks. I did bodybuilding, photo shoot prep. Now they're all kind of worked, you know, along a timeline. But the one thing I did this year in comparison to last year was I just didn't let it take over my life. I still went on holidays, even though I was 8 weeks out from bodybuilding prep. I didn't give a shit. You know, I care about winning, but not at the cost of my relationship. My partner, it was her birthday 6 weeks out. I was up in Guido eating, drinking wine. I didn't care one day. No one gets fat in one day. Still went, stepped in the bodybuilding show, came third. You know what I mean? When you learn, I think, how to pull back, yes, put effort into it, but don't let it take over. Try not to let it take over. You need to work hard, obviously, but it took time for me to pull away from that, like to realize, like, stop attaching to everything and letting it take over. And I think that'll always be with me in some regards. There'll always be that addictive personality traits, but it's just maybe how to manage it or how to control it.
Yeah, it's the identity piece again, isn't it? So you're Stuart Coyne, the coach. You're Stuart Coyne, who's in great shape. You're Stuart Coyne with a six-pack. You're Stuart Coyne, who's the high-performing athlete. But, okay, take all that away. Take all the outside external factors away and just be left with Stuart Coyne. Now, who is Stuart Coyne? You don't have to answer that today. Maybe that's one to take with you. But I mean, it's been something in my own life. I mean, of course, I've fucking attached myself to fucking all sorts of things. And then because I was ashamed of my identity, I was ashamed of my true self, because my true self was abandoned or bullied, neglected, abused, whatever. And I said, well, I can't be that guy. I can't be this vulnerable, sensitive child. I've got to be this tough, hard man and put on this persona of confidence and toughness. And that created more destruction in my life than anything else. So it's been a journey of finding myself again. And then living from that place of truth, which is really living from a place of love and joy, which then transfers into amazing things in your life, because you're not doing it because you feel you need to do something to be someone. You already are that person. So because I am this, or I have this, it's my role now, it's my duty now, it's my service now to give this back.
Yeah.
So
you're very self-aware. Like you're always picking yourself apart to some degree, maybe a bit too much. I don't know as much as in the past. But
I think there's always more to learn. There's so much to us. There's so much to this life, to this world, to this universe, to ourselves, that is going to take us a lifetime of discovery. And I'm actually at that point, or was at the point, where I thought I'd done all the work. I've done years and countless hours of therapy, journaling, meditation, all those modalities. I've done a couple of psilocybin retreats. I've like, oh wow, like I'm in a good place. And then something or someone comes along and goes, nope, nah, you're still fucking bullshitting yourself. You're still not being true to yourself. You're still not living life to your full potential. Yeah. And I actually reached that point this year. And identifying the fact that I was running away from myself, even running away from myself into therapy, journal, into the sea, into the gym, all these healthy outlets. It's like, how much time do you actually spend doing nothing? Like nothing. And I'm going, well, fuck, not a lot of time. It's like, yeah, well, fucking stop running away from yourself. You're looking for answers in therapy. You're looking for answers in books. You're looking for answers in the gym. The answers aren't there. The answers are in here. If you just start paying attention to yourself, trust yourself that you know what you need to do to become the truest version of yourself, this high potential. Let's step into your highest potential.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the journey I'm on at the moment. But I choose to go there. I think for each and every individual, okay, you choose the path you want to go to. I mean, I could have got to the point this year and said, you know what, I'm in a good place. Yeah, things are grand. I'll just stay here now, you know, and I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm consistent with that. I'm in a good place. But then there's a part of me going, nah. There's more to you than this. There's more to this. There's more. You have, I believe, and this is not coming from an egotistical place. I believe I'm here to give service to others. And because I've gone through a lot of hardships in my own life, that's happened for a reason. I've taken those lessons on board. I have this information. I have this wisdom. Don't keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
You need to fucking give that to someone else to pull them out of their darkness or to guide them towards the light on their own journey. You sitting there just keeping this to yourself. It's like that's selfish. So for me now, it's being of service to others, but I have to serve myself in order to continue doing that.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, but again, the identity piece is quite interesting and maybe something for you to dig into. I don't know if you've gone into that level of depth.
Not really. You know,
or you choose to do so because it's a choice.
I mean, I battled with the thoughts of like, you know, why am I doing all these fitness adventures and business and stuff like, but I've always kind of been like that to some degree. I've always been into something. And I do enjoy it. Like, I think the biggest realization for me this year, I did the bodybuilding prep. I knew throughout the whole of prep, I was like, I'm doing this because I just love the process. I love being locked in. I love being disciplined for a small period of time. I also love pushing myself to the point where not many people can do it. Not many people can get to 6 or 7% body fat without any drugs. Or, you know, push through that hunger and push through that, you know, what you need to do in terms of like with your foods. You kind of have to eat a pretty bland diet. You know, it's funny because when I see people coming to me like, oh, how do I make all these tasty recipes? I'm like, you're dieting, just calm it down a little bit with the taste, right? It's kind of counterintuitive to what we're trying to do here. But, yeah, I just enjoy it and I don't know why. I think maybe in a few years when I start digging a little bit, I'm sure I will. But right now, I think my whole point was I knew even getting on stage and coming third, it was like I didn't really care. I cared because I was rewarded for my hard efforts and my luck and whatever. But it was like, it was just really good 3 months. Really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed what I did this year. You know, I really enjoyed the person because I have this lifestyle now where I can't let things go too much because if I want to jump on stage, I need to be in certain conditioning. If I want to do high rocks, I need to keep up running. My diet is always going to be pretty good. That's for not only just my body composition, but I've learned like, look, there's certain food groups. If you eat them, you're going to feel a little bit more productive. I don't care what anyone says. Like, you know, if you go around eating crap all the time, guess what? You're going to fucking feel like crap. That's not rocket science. If you eat a more nutrient-dense diet, and it doesn't have to be perfect, I'm talking 80%, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel more productive. You're going to feel like you have more energy. And I'm just obsessed with that lifestyle right now, you know. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned, you're trying to pass on these skills to others. Like I've gone through that transition where and I think a lot of people, especially Irish people, hit this stage in their 30s where they have to make a decision: do they still continuing the actions of the weekend warrior, if you want to put it, or do they start turning into, I'm going to sign up for a half marathon? Now it's sad to say that it's either one or the other, that there's no one down the middle. But I have a lot of clients at the moment who are just like, I know you went through this shit. I want to do what you did.
You've got skin in the game now,
exactly.
Which builds a level of respect and authority for what you do, yeah.
And that's what, like, all I want to do is just pass that on. If you're in your late 20s, 30s, and you want to get into shape and you want to do it for the right reasons, I'm very confident I can show you it. I can show you that you need to change your lifestyle. and that's it. And we just need to make those changes over time. But it'll serve you no matter what you're doing, no matter whether you're chasing your dream job. Because I'm a big believer like my turning point was getting back into shape, and then I got back into shape, and then we were like, well, what's next? Like, because as I always said, to get those results, you have to make a lot of changes to your lifestyle, but those bleed into other areas. Like, you learn how to prep your food, you learn how to be more organized, you learn how to rest on the weekends, not be hungover. You feel more refreshed. Your job starts to feel easier. Your relationships are better. You feel like you have more time because you're not constantly worried about calories because all your food is prepped and everything is kind of organized. Job feels a little bit easier. Like, after the stint we did, I got a promotion after that because I was just locked in. I wasn't out drinking every weekend. Surprise, surprise, you get a promotion for not taking the piss for 3 months and working on your job. You know? So there's a lot to it. And I think people need to stop. I know I'm going off track here, but just need to stop being so obsessive with the end result, the scale way. It's like, what are you getting out of this? Because that's what you're truly looking for. Like, what's the value out of this? Are you going to be a better, more productive person? Cool, that's what you're chasing. Understand that. Now put in the work to get the results, and everything else will follow.
What do you learn at the moment? What are you opening yourself up to learn at the moment as we sit here today?
At the moment, I'm really trying to learn how to not be so addictive with my work and my fitness pursuits. They're serve a purpose. They're things I enjoy, but I'm trying, like, just before we had this conversation, I had plans to do this. My business mentor's not going to be happy when he hears this, but I had plans to do some work over Christmas. I'm just not doing it. And I think I might take a leaf out of your book and just delete fucking Instagram for a week.
Oh man, game changer.
Because, like, the one thing that because online coaching, you are a content creator. I don't care what anyone says, right? I hate making content. Not that I hate it, I like the art of it, but the pressures to make one every day, I hate that. And I've done that pretty much every day for the last 3 years. There's no day off. You know what I mean? And making a piece of content's not a 20-minute job. It is to some people, but I have to edit it. The way I do it is very, very different to someone else. But just to pull yourself away from it, sometimes I go on social media and I'm scrolling, I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at? Like, I'm getting more annoyed, more pissed off, you know? So I'm trying to my best to learn how to pull away from it a little bit and be a little bit more present in my relationships, like my family and stuff. My partner just came back from Prague, amazing. Wasn't on social media, might put up a few stories, but I was more present. And I was kind of in awe walking around the city, looking at all the architecture, and I was like, oh, I used to like this. You know? Because I kind of forgot what that
Once
was.
you lift your head out of your phone, isn't it? Oh, actually, there's a world out here to discover as well, yeah.
And you know what's mad? When I was trying to take a break from all the stuff, I was looking around and I was taking it in, and my girlfriend, we take a few photos or whatever, but everyone was just walking around with their phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, look, I take a few videos or whatever, but I was just seeing people the whole time going around with selfie sticks. I'm like, you're looking through all this beautiful architecture through the lens of a phone. You can just go on fucking YouTube and watch that.
You only see them because you're not on your phone, though, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, so, yeah. Probably didn't notice them before because you were one of them. As I was, or as I can be.
But even I've friends in the space, the content that we make, and every holiday is an opportunity to go, look, I live normal like you. And I used to try and do that a lot. And now I'm at this stage where I'm like, I'm not fucking making content on holidays. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm just sick of it. Like, you know what I mean?
And you need that, man. It's something I've been working with. I'm usually working with high flying individuals who have their own business or quite high up in their careers. And obviously it's very intense and there's deadlines to be met and there's a lot of pressure. And yes, there's a time for intensity. There's a time, as you've been talking about yourself, time to push, time to grind, time to hustle. And I use the analogy of the warrior going into battle. I've got the Modern Warrior process in the program. So the warrior going into battle. The warrior's not in fucking battle for 2-3 fucking years. He goes to battle, like such as the SAS, to go into war, these war zones for a relatively short period of time, maybe 3 months, 6 months. But then they retreat, then they come back. Or even when they're there, they're into a war zone, they fight, and it's intense, it's life or death. But then afterwards, they retreat back to base, they recover, they replenish, they rest. And there's moments of, there's a short period of rest whilst the battle is ensuing on the outside, such as You're working hard during the week. You take your rest at the weekends or
Yeah.
whatever it might be. But then there's time where you just get away from the battlefield
Yeah.
and retreat back home, be still, and allow yourself to replenish, recover, true being present, true relaxing, true sleeping.
Yeah.
And then you're ready to go to war again, or you're ready for battle again. But if you're just pushing, you're gonna fucking kill yourself. You know what I mean? So it's knowing when to switch it on in terms of the intensity, and knowing when then to retreat. And it's been something I've actually been a lot more conscious of in my own life this year,
hard.
and trying to transfer to other men as well.
It's hard.
It's the hardest part of working is not working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, but that's the one thing I think I'm trying my absolute best. And it's a process, like, you know, I think people like to think things just happen like that. Nothing happens like that. You know, people, oh, my scale weight's up after a night. Listen, no one got fat over one night. Relax. This is going to take months, all right? And don't get obsessive over the little nuance of it. But I suppose where I'm trying to get is, like, I know I'm trying to become a better version of myself, in the sense that I'm trying to be a little bit more present when I can, and pull back when I can, and not always trying to grind. But just trying to find how I maximize those periods. And also, especially when you are maximizing those periods, if you have family members or you have a relationship, you have to let them know, this is what I'm doing now. Like, I was doing prep and I knew the last 6 weeks was going to be tough. And that's down my partner. Like, look, last 6 weeks, I kind of need to dial it in here a little bit. Cool, we're on the same page. November is always a busy time. We finish up our group coaching. We have clients that want to come onto the one-to-one program. It's just relentless hours, and it's just nonstop for a whole month. And you don't, like, there'd be days there I wouldn't even see my partner from Monday to Thursday, you know? And I know I'm laughing about it, right? But it's just one of those things where, like, there's a time to do it, but it doesn't have to be all the time, as you mentioned. You just have to learn how to pick and choose your moments, put the foot down when you have to, don't cry about it. This is what you want to do at the end of the day. Then learn how to pull back and retreat a little bit. And when the opportunity comes to rest, take it. Don't try and have one foot in, one foot out. Take the rest. Put your phone away, you know.
And if you were to go back to 28-year-old Stuart Coyne, because there is a 28-year-old Stuart Coyne out there somewhere, what sort of advice would you give him?
I think probably the one bit of advice you gave me was, it's never too late. It's never too late to go and try something. And especially, I think, if you're 28 and you're in a corporate job and you've saved a little bit of money, it doesn't have to be a massive amount, and you have an idea in your head and you want to go and try it, and you have no real responsibilities because, you know, you don't have a house, you don't have family, whatever it is, you've nothing to lose. To go and I know it's so cliched, I'm fucking saying this now because I've seen so many podcasts the same bullshit.
Yeah.
But you've nothing to lose. And I think the best way I kind of rationaled it in my head, and it was what we talked about, it's like, what's 1 year? That job will always be there. Like, when I left that corporate job, you know, we were like, look, you can always go back in a year if it doesn't work out. And once you realize that, you realize, like, right, I've no real responsibilities. I can always come back. And you, not only that, if you go and try and start your own business and it fails miserably and you come back a year later, you'll get a fucking job promotion. Who else in the company has left and tried to start a company?
Yeah.
So if you are in that moment, you're like, I wouldn't mind chasing my dreams or your dreams. I think it's a bit rich to say that, but chasing something that you're very passionate about, something that you know you can be very good at. I think that's kind of the key to it all. Are you good at this? Do you know you can provide a good service? Do you have the skills to help people? Go for it. It's only fucking 1 year, and then see what 1 year has, and give it absolutely everything. None of this bullshit. The amount of coaches I had contacting me, you know, what should I do and make content? How many are you making a day? And they'd be like, how many are you making a week? And they're like 2 or 3. I'm like, you're a full-time coach making 2 or 3 pieces of content. It's like, man, I was making 14 with a full-time job. You're up against the likes of me, and you are going to sink pretty quickly. And people think online coaching especially is very saturated. It's not. It's a hard gig. But if you want to do it, put the effort in. It's like any other job. Work hard, give it 1 year, go to hell and back, and see what happens.
I'm excited for us to come, man. You've only started, my man. But do everyone a favor and let them know where they can find you, reach out to you, potentially work with you.
Yeah, Instagram is the main platform for me. The Coin Method is my Instagram name. So,
Brilliant. Stuart, man, absolutely love this conversation, and I'm proud of you, man.
Thanks very much. I've never got to say it, but like what you've done for me has been absolutely amazing. Like I said, I truly believe you helped me become, the boy transitioning into the man at whatever 30 years of age. Like there's a lot to learn, and working with you, pull your socks up, get your shit done. We'll both get through this together. That was the best thing I ever did. So thanks very much for that.
Thank yourself. You had the courage to reach out to him, man. So, and you did the fucking work. I just showed you the way. So, well done.